You're now listening to Cashed In.
Back to Cashed In. This is episode 13, and today I'm very excited to introduce our guest. It's Brian Teyssier. He's a real estate agent, a mogul in the Pittsburgh market and also Florida. Today we're excited to talk about Brian and all the things he's involved in the beginning, from flipping into what he's doing now. So Brian, thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
So I guess we'll start at the beginning.
Yeah, what do you want to know?
Bring us through.
Mike and I were talking earlier about different types of investments, and you had asked me to be on the podcast, and I said I don't know shit about buying, holds, and wholesaling, and cap rates, and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I like fast money, fast cars, fast boats, and fast women, and strong coffee. That's the way I like it. So I don't want
simple guy.
To the point.
Right. I don't want to buy. I don't want to wait 40 years for my investment to have equity and cash out.
Yeah.
I want my money now. So to me, flipping was the best way to get a large chunk of money quick. It's like hitting the lottery.
Yes.
And we had briefly talked about it. My first flip was one of those FHA ones. I don't even know if they do it anymore. They actually did a home inspection for you, and they pointed everything out, which is very odd. And being brand new, I wasn't a real estate agent at the time. My mom worked at Pizza Hut, and my dad sold Chevrolets. So we did not come from a lineage of real estate at all. So I thought that was the safest bet, because they already and you're trying to pinch your pennies. Because at this point, I'm paying cash for the house, and I'm paying cash for the renovations. And I had never done it. I felt it was, if you get thrown in the frying pan, you have a better chance of success. I mean, you're more motivated. Sure. If you're dipping your toes in, you can always get out and, failure and just move on. There was no way you're going to fail if you put all your eggs into this basket. So I bought it for 40. I put 20 into it, all in for 60, sold it for 80. Did all of the work by myself. And I had contractor friends that I would beg them to come over. I'm like, if I remove this 2x4, will the house fall down?
Oh my God.
So, funny story, removed the 2x4 and half the house fell down.
Wow.
Bad advice out of the gate.
Yeah.
So, fast forward, I ended up making $20,000. My previous job at Xerox, making copies, $5.50 an hour back in 2005. I made $20,000 in a year.
Jeez.
So you make $20,000 right up front in a chunk, and you get paid right at the closing table.
This is your calling.
Yeah.
It's a calling.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to do flipping. From then I took a little more serious. I've always been a believer. It's funny because I'm a horrible student. All through school.
I'm a terrible student.
C-, right?
Yeah.
Horrible. Hated all the subjects.
Still passed.
I still passed.
C's
That's what I told my mom.
degrees.
C, Mom, it wasn't that bad.
C's get degrees.
I like that. And a lot of the most famous real estate people didn't go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if they had subjects that were not social studies and algebra, if they was flipping,
Yeah,
just
like
think how
biology.
much better that would be, right?
Even though it's important.
So anyway, one of my stories, I was a bad student. So it's kind of odd that in life I was like, I feel like I need to get educated by somebody, right? So I went to American Congress of Real Estate. They still have it in Pennsylvania. I learned a ton there.
Yeah.
There was no YouTube or anything like that. I was buying hardback books at Home Depot that taught you how to tile. So as I was tiling, I was reading this black and white hardback book.
Wow.
Right? And I told you I was going to tile classes at Home Depot. Mike says they still have them, guys. I don't know if they still have them or not, but like on a Wednesday night, they would teach you how to tile.
That's crazy.
Super smart, right?
Oh, so
Because I'm
smart.
immediately going to go and buy my trowel,
Yeah.
my grout, and everything right there because it's right there.
Yeah.
And now I know Jim. He's the one that taught me. I'm going to go back there when I have a problem. Like, Jim, what happened here? Oh, you're using the wrong size trowel. You need a smaller tooth trowel.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of got started in that. And something I know you liked that they don't do anymore is they would have their own credit card.
Yeah.
Where you paid no interest, no payments at all if you paid everything off in the first year. So my dad and I were walking out with flatbeds full, because you wanted to buy it all at one time. You want to keep going back.
Sure.
So we had lamps and light fixtures and sconces and switches.
Amazing.
We overbought everything because we would rather overbuy and take shit back than underbuy and have to go and get it.
Right.
So we had flatbeds of stuff with stuff falling off.
Yeah.
People were laughing at us at the register. We'd put it all in there. You'd finish the house within a year. You'd go and pay off that credit card bill to them. You used Home Depot and Lowe's money to fix for all the materials.
Yeah.
All the
crazy.
materials. Wow. So, for those of you watching, it's about leveraging what is out there to be leveraged. So I haven't flipped houses in 15 years. I don't know what's out there to what processes, procedures, or advantages you can take, but that was one of the ones I found. There might be stuff out there like that now. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good gem. I'm not sure as far as that goes. I'm part of the flipping process, but I'm not a contractor by any means.
Right.
So that's like their own lane. What the group that I'm in, like our partners, it's me, a money guy, and then a contractor.
Perfect.
So he has his own little routine of things that he does. So I'm gonna ask him that.
You should, and I'm going to recommend you get your hands dirty on one of the flips. That's one of the things they taught us.
Yeah.
One of the things they taught us in Acre was you want to understand what the costs are and what it takes to do it. So I only intended on flipping one house because Acre said, hey, do it yourself, understand so you're not getting ripped off by contractors later on down the line. But then it was just so addictive to make 20 grand. The next time was 50, and the most I ever made was $80,000. So,
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was
Wait, so how many
time
did you do
ago.
by yourself?
Just five.
You did 5? What was
Yeah.
the grossest thing that you came across during the flip?
Frozen jeans on the basement floor.
Frozen
Frozen jeans. So we had to get one of those real heavy shovels
Yeah.
and chip it up like ice. And you picked it up, and it was like.
Why are those jeans wet? Like why?
So it was one of the only houses
Is it
I
on the
bought.
floor?
It was one of the only houses I bought that actually had their stuff left in it.
Oh.
Ew.
Because usually when you
okay.
buy the realtor, that stuff's all cleaned out. And I
Yeah.
bought it through a realtor, but for whatever reason, they didn't remove all the stuff. Most of the houses came cleaned. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But that was the grossest thing. I haven't run into many other than trying to get
Yeah,
toilets out.
toilets and everything, yeah.
Shit water spilling over everywhere. But yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. So, okay, let's fast forward to maybe like present time.
Yep.
So obviously you're killing it in the real estate game in terms of being an agent, here and in Florida. So what's your investments look like now?
So like I was telling Mike earlier, is I feel like you graduate.
Sure.
This is just the way I feel. Maybe some people want to do buy and holds their whole life. That's fantastic. Maybe some people want to flip. That's fantastic. I never did any buy and holds, but I did flip, and I felt like I did a pretty good business job. So I thought the next thing would be to develop, to build brand new out of the ground. So I did some research. I couldn't quite figure it out on my own. So I figured I'd have to partner up with somebody. So for years, I was open to it, but not actively going after it, right?
Yeah.
And then my current business partner kind of fell into my lap. We were introduced to each other, and he had been doing flips for 25 years. He's a wizard at tax sales and sheriff sales and all that. So he has a bunch of vacant land in and around Pittsburgh.
Okay.
That we could build houses on. On 38th Street in Lawrenceville, he has 3 brand new houses that came out of the ground that they just finished and just closed on a couple, hence the $100,000 check, which I'm sure we're going to get into,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so I figured it was a natural thing for me to go with him. So the way I got that check was after selling so much real estate and going with the mantra that my parents taught me, which is to don't buy anything you can't afford to pay off. I paid off everything I have. Everything is paid off. So you get to a point when you're stuffing all these real estate sales, you're making all this money that you have extra money. And you're thinking, what am I going to do with that? The smart person isn't just going to go out and buy, Louis Vuitton shoes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And having it in the bank is kind of, I don't know.
You're
slow,
losing money, keeping it in the bank, inflation.
Super slow burn. I wasn't into crypto or
Yeah.
NFTs or any of that stuff. I didn't
Yeah.
have it back then. So then I figured I'd approach this developer and I said, let's do something together. He said, I'll tell you what. I have all these vacant lots. This is my first experience of building new construction. I will take you on as a 50-50 partner on 3 properties after these, brand new, if you lend me $250,000 interest free. We will be 50-50 partners on the other 3, and you're just responsible for financing them. So I either bring the cash or I get a hard money loan. He didn't care how I got the money.
Timeline? 250? Did he have to...
Well, COVID came
Oh, you were right before COVID?
right before COVID. So, I mean, it took 2 years.
Okay.
Dang it.
Yeah, it's...
Did you put your name on the deed or anything like that?
we
or-
had documents filled out that I would be the first one, the first lien holder.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's the only way I did it. I wouldn't just willy-nilly give somebody $250,000 because I'd only known him for like 3 weeks.
Oh my God! Wow.
But I was so thirsty
Yeah.
to get in development that sometimes your judgment gets a little bit clouded.
You knew who he was, though, right?
I knew who he was, but it doesn't.
Craigslist.
Yeah. I mean, I knew he had those 3 properties, which were beautiful, $750,000 a piece, and he had financed them with his own cash.
Yeah.
So I knew that he was,
Carries credibility.
pretty, and you could kind of smell. I mean, when you get older and you've been in the business for a while, you kind of can pick up on somebody.
Pick up on bullshit,
Unless they're a
yeah.
super snake, then they could maybe fool you. But I could tell this guy was pretty genuine. So I just did it. We had the form filled out, the contract and all that. So I didn't see it as being a big deal. It was painful to have the $250,000 out for 2 years. But he paid me $150 back whenever he got because it took longer. It's supposed to be just 1 year. So he's an upstanding guy. He paid me $150 back as soon as he sold some other stuff. And then he just paid me the other 100 back whenever it closed.
So you're made whole.
I'm made whole. I didn't make any money off of that.
And there's 3. Oh, so they're all sold right now?
So he has 3 properties that I lent $250,000 on, right?
Okay.
2 of them were pre-sold.
Oh, 2. Okay.
And one of them is going to be listed by me. Stay tuned, 38th Street.
Okay.
Elevator,
Okay.
$750,000. You could do some video if you want.
Video tour.
Totally, yeah.
But
So stay tuned.
Yeah, you gave him the $250 in exchange for 50% equity. So your profit's coming.
So I gave him $250,000 on that project for 50% on the next project.
Oh, okay. The deal is what's the next project? Is that
So the next project is we have 3 properties brand new coming out of the ground. One has a foundation in the central north side, and 2, we're getting there. 2, we were going to do modular, but the modular concept kind of faded on us. You know, it was appealing because it was quick, but then their pipeline is so backed up, it's no longer quick, and it's a little more expensive.
Yeah.
But we can't find good contractors for stick build, so it's like chasing your tail.
Oh, so those ones, did he already have a team in place then? The developer?
He had a builder. Well, he had a builder on that previous job that's sucked. So after he was done with them, we chose not to bring him onto the new one. But to be honest with you, and that's why we like the modular was the modular company is in control of the craftsmanship and the quality, and the modular comes tiled, floored,
that's what
drywalled.
Buena Vista is, right?
Buena Vistas are all like that, but they screwed up. They didn't have them. They chose to get their own finishing on site, so they just came as shells.
Got it. Okay.
And they should have had them tiled up there. They should have had the flooring done because it came. You could just put them together like Legos and been done.
Yeah.
But now they had to go out, and COVID came, so they had to find contractors.
I remember when we were shooting that your show. There was contractors there, and you were telling them what to fix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still like that. They should, if they would have had to come from the factory like that, wouldn't have to worry about any of that. Plug and play would have been.
Well, you learn.
Well, I mean, that's like we talked about previous. Is when you do your projects, you learn as you go.
Yeah.
That's your college. That's your education.
Sure.
You can't go into this knowing everything.
Yeah.
You can't even Google this shit. Like, I want to be a developer. I Googled how to be a developer. I got all this weird stuff. There's no blueprint for being a developer.
No, you have to do it. You learn.
You've got to partner up with
You're
somebody.
going to screw up. You're going to make mistakes. But at the end of the day, you know.
I would love to graduate to that level.
Well, you will one day. I mean, you'll do flips for a while, and it's like you get kind of burned out, just like everything in life.
Yeah, sure.
You just kind of get burned out on it. It's just the next graduation point. Maybe by the time you're ready to graduate, I'll be as tenured as my partner, and he may move on, and we may separate or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe you and I will do.
There you
maybe
go.
All 3 of us will do something.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
That's exactly how you do. You got to leverage someone else's
knowledge.
Right. So like a new agent's contact me, like I want to be like you. I'm like, get on the team.
Yeah.
Get a coach. Anna's already made the mistakes. Go see her. She'll teach you how not to make mistakes.
Right? Yeah.
I've made the mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't willy-nilly go out and try to figure it out. You've got to leverage your intelligence. You got to build a team that they all know something different. They're experts like your team. You have a money person, a contractor, and you.
Yep.
Everybody does something different.
Yeah. And to me, where the position I'm at as an investor, that is a graduation from the level prior.
Which was what?
Trying to do things by myself, like buy single family rentals, and I realized that wasn't exactly, I didn't have a taste for that.
Right.
So I wanted to be the flipper.
Right.
And then I graduated, I partnered up with somebody, a team, and it's like my next thing would hopefully be a developer.
Right. And it will be. And it's not always about I said, fast cash and all that. It's not always about that. It's about fast education. I should have started. I'm going to start saying that. I'll take the women out, but the education. Fast education.
There you go.
Right.
That's the G-rated answer.
It's what you're learning. You're paying to learn. Anytime you make a mistake, you just paid to learn. Is the way we look at it. You didn't make a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. As long as it doesn't sink you, obviously, and you don't repeat it. If you repeat the mistake, then you didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
Right. So how many flips have you done?
I've only done 5. So I've done
5 flips.
So I did 3 that were flips, and then I took over up in Crescent, PA. I took over a development that had 2 that were just to framing. They had been sucked up by the 2007, 2008 crash. Right. So then I came in, and Michael Cowden was the listing agent, and he was so bad I had to negotiate through him because I was taught to always do 50%. Offer 50% of whatever the list price is back in the day. Yeah. In a market, it was a buyer's market. It wasn't a seller's market like it is now, right? So he was so bad that I had to write a letter to the bank that I had to have him give to them because I didn't negotiate through him to the bank because he just wasn't getting it. I was like, dude, nobody wants these things.
Yeah.
Nobody has the cash. You have to buy cash. They're framed. You can't go any further. I'm a cash buyer. I think, like, let's just say they wanted 150 and 150. There were two of them attached. I think I offered them 150 for both.
Yeah.
And I got them down significant. I didn't get my number, and I didn't expect to, but I got closer to my number than their number. And that was my first experience. I graduated. So there's even a step between flipper and developer. I just now realized it. Flipping is when you gut a house and you put it back together. So this I took over from a developer. It was already had partial permits. Flipping, I don't know anything about permits, right? So now I have permits to deal with. I hired, it's not going to sound good, a Mexican crew to come in, and I hired a drywall crew, and they came in, and they had all these stilts that they stood on and stuff, slapping all this drywall mud. And keep in mind, I had just flipped, so I knew how to drywall.
Yeah.
And it takes me a day to drywall a couple sheets.
Yeah.
I was amazed. And this was a learning experience.
Yeah.
And I would have never learned it had I not gone this route. I learned that. And maybe it's something you think about with your property management business is they can do it so much faster, so much better. It may cost me more money, but I'm in and out a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I mean,
time is money.
You couldn't physically, one person, drywall this whole 2,500 thing. It was double height entryway.
Yeah.
So I would have had to got scaffolding. Home Depot only has that one little, you know what I'm talking about, the drywall machine? You just wheel it up and it puts it up like a...
I've heard of that, yeah.
You've heard of that.
I've heard of it.
Whoever is teamed up with her, make her do the work once,
Rip
please.
the toilet out. Yeah.
They're busy. They're not going to see
drywall.
this. They're working right now.
So yeah, I mean, and that was a learning experience
Yeah.
to kind of tease me into developing a little bit because I like the new construction aspect. Like you're slaved to the old house most of the time, configuration, setup, architecture, whatever.
Yeah.
So I saw this new construction. I got to pick these new cabinets and the
That's a
framing.
fun part.
Dude, it was so much fun.
The design.
So much
I
fun.
love picking the design.
So much fun. So then I did two of those, and then the market shrunk, as we had previously spoken about. The internet kind of shrunk everything. Whenever I was into flipping, I could go in the MLS and pick at least 10 houses I could have made. Minimum of 20. Like my minimum was $20,000 profit. I projected because if I missed the price and I had to do a couple $5,000 price adjustments, I would at least break even versus not making any money. So if I couldn't minimum make 20 grand, I wouldn't go there. But back in the day, man, there was just I couldn't do them fast. There's so many of them. And then it shrunk because YouTube came out and TV shows and everybody started flipping houses. And then almost like in a year, I couldn't even find a house that I liked. And my parents today still have a garage full of hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tools.
Wow.
Because I just don't use them anymore.
So how did you obviously you said there was a surplus at the time on MLS.
Yeah.
How did you have a formula that you went by to determine, or did you just use the?
Yeah, I just use it. It's experience.
Okay.
Just experience. There's no formula. There's no square footage or anything like that. Because I would just go to Home Depot and they have surplus of tile for 99 cents a foot tile. You know what I mean? They just buy pallets of them. If one Home Depot didn't have it, I'd go to the next one and over in Bethel Park, and they had something different. So you'd have to kind of shop around for it, but you could save money all over the place like that. But no, I had no formula. Just kind of hoped and winged it. And then we talked about capital gains as well. So I would also buy it when I bought the house. I would move into it immediately and change my address to that house. Right? Yeah. No heat. No air conditioning, a lot of times no floors.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get a real estate career off the ground at the same time, so somebody would call and want to see a house. I'd have to just leave my nail gun right there on the floor, nail the hardwood floors in, grab my peanut butter and jelly and coffee, and I'd take off and show a house, come back. But it was so cool because you'd wake up, you'd be so excited, right? You would wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. and not be able to sleep because you were just so excited. And I would just go downstairs, turn the lights on, and just start nailing floors.
Wow.
What was your shift? What was your? I mean, obviously there was a point in time where you had like this mental shift, right? I mean that you were, like I could do this.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Like at what point did you develop enough confidence to be able to just take that step forward? Because it's a big task.
It's
huge,
is,
especially if you're doing it yourself.
It's a huge task. I think it depends, how you were raised and what kind of position you were in. So I was making $5.50 an hour at Xerox. Yeah. In my mind, this is the frying pan.
Some people feel like they're strapped by their circumstances, though.
Right.
And you didn't.
It's your mindset. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I figured I'm a driven person. Not everybody's driven, and I'm not going to take that away from them. There are people that love 8 to 5 jobs, make a okay paycheck, and they just know they have a job.
For sure.
But I'm a driven person. Yeah. You're a driven person. You're a driven person. Most of you out there are probably going to be driven. So you weren't going to accept failure. So I came from a motocross racing background. I didn't accept failure. There was no team. There was just me racing dirt bikes and me and my machine. I have a feeling you're in some sort of sports. I bet you.
I was, yeah.
sports?
Not so much, no. I do CrossFit now. That's my sport.
That's right. That's right. You do CrossFit
that's
now,
a
so
sport.
you're driven, and we're passionate, and you take that from a different discipline and you put it into flipping. And then so I'm all about money. I love money. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm
Same.
materialistic. I just love making money. I love getting money. I love
Save
spending
space.
money.
Yeah.
Right. And I love saving money too.
I love
Don't get me wrong.
spending, yes.
I don't spend it until I save it. Make sure
Right.
I have extra. But when I made that $20,000, I was like, whoa. Then the next time I made
Gotcha.
$50,000, I was like, whoa. The best I ever made was $80,000.
Jeez.
And-
yeah, you were hooked at that
Right.
point.
So at that
Yeah.
point, your drive goes up.
Yeah.
You don't have burnout.
Nope.
Yeah.
The crow can't, the rooster can't scream loud enough early enough.
Yeah.
There were some houses that had no electric, and I had to wait for the sun to come up in order to tile. So I would get there in Bethel Park, Grouse Run Road, I'll never forget it. I would get there like 4 a.m. and just sit there in the bathroom. Just wait for the sunlight to come in the window and hit the spot I wanted to tile.
Put your headlights
That's
on.
incredible.
Yeah.
For my what? Headlight?
From your
Yeah,
car,
I mean,
from
I
the
should have got
farm.
one of those little lights. But I had to wait for that because we had no electric. And you were mixing the
See, they don't
mortar
see
by
that
hand.
part. Yeah, they don't see that part.
No.
Yeah,
People
for
just
those of
think they see the flashy part.
Right.
You're here, you're there, you're driving this.
See your Tesla, your McLaren,
Right.
Yeah.
your fly jumpsuit. Everything.
Yeah, they
Right.
don't, they don't
just
see
don't-
the peanut butter and jelly every
Right.
day, or like sleeping in a house with no electricity,
Right.
and like things like that. Which
Waiting
is
for the sun to come up to do work. I mean,
Yeah.
that's old school Pittsburgh mentality right there.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
Blue collar, hammer it out. Only person that knows that is my dad because he was there next to me. Nobody else knows what we went through. So for those of you that see me flashing now, I mean,
It's
like I
well
told you
earned.
earlier,
Yeah.
I sacrifice in the beginning. And anytime I talk to people, I try to tell them, pay off your debt. Don't take out this debt. Don't buy this Rolex. Suffer a little bit in your 20s and 30s. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, when you're in your 40s and 50s, you can buy whatever you want.
Yeah,
right.
it's when
For
life
the most
begins.
part, I mean,
yeah,
For sure.
You can't buy, everything you want, but within reason.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can go to dinner. There was a time I couldn't go to dinner. Now I
Yeah.
can go to dinner, and I don't care where it's at. I buy
Yeah.
your dinner, we'll buy everybody's dinner. It's not going to hurt my pocketbook.
Right.
And that's because I sacrificed some peanut butter and jelly earlier.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and jelly early, filet late.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And that's how it works.
That's so awesome.
People don't get that. And that's a
They just don't.
financial, that's not even an investment course. That's a financial course.
Yeah,
Well, but your parents, were both blue collar.
Blue,
right?
Mom worked at Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut,
Her
right?
whole
And
life.
Your dad was
Sun
he sold
Chevrolet
cars.
selling cars, long hours.
Right. So it wasn't like you. It wasn't like you came from a financial
Low
background,
middle
right?
class.
Yeah.
Low
right.
middle class.
Right.
Not
So
high end, but not low end.
right. So it's I respect the hell out of that. I do just
Thank
because
you. Totally.
just because I did. I mean, I came from a I don't want to say upper class,
I
but
understand.
upper middle class.
Right.
Right. And I think that I'm more so impressed by that story than anything else, just because most people just play the hand they're dealt,
Right.
and they don't try to change their circumstances.
That's a good point.
And with you, you're like, what, like I want more. This is okay. There's nothing wrong with this, but I want more.
Right.
And you want more based on you didn't know. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
And so that's impressive. So yeah, that's awesome.
So I was just at the Remax convention earlier this year, and Josh Altman from $1 Million Listing was the keynote speaker.
cool.
Awesome. And one of the
Yeah.
things he said was, you have to create what you just said. You have to create your opportunities. And I've learned this, if you just sit back and wait,
It's never gonna
like a
come.
modeling agency is going to come to me and
Yeah.
want me to model.
Yeah.
McLaren dealership is not going to come and say, we
Yeah.
want you to buy a McLaren. You got to go after it. You have
Yeah.
to create the
Yeah.
opportunity, and you're
Yeah.
going to fail along the way.
Yeah.
It goes back to what we said earlier about paying for the education. It's not failing. You just paid to
Failing
educate
is
yourself.
that's invaluable.
Right. If you
Yeah.
quit, you failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You lost money. you
Agreed
failed.
with that. Never stop being relentless and believing in yourself and
Right.
counting on yourself to get you through whatever you're trying to get through.
And you know what? If you go into it knowing you're going to fail, you're going to have to pivot. That's okay.
Yeah.
So when I was trying to figure out tiling, for instance, I was always working with one 12-inch by 12-inch square tile, right? Well, this one time I had a floor that had a hump in it. Not knowing, and the tile was like, I'm like, crack. I'm like, what do I do with this? So I could not figure it out. And I
What
said,
year was this? Well, how long ago was it?
oh, it was back
Before YouTube?
17, way before YouTube. Yeah, before, I don't even know if they had Google,
Google,
back then,
yeah.
to be honest with you. So I said to myself, I'm going to put this in a box in my brain and just move on to something else. And later, a couple of days later, I figured it out. I was at Home Depot, and they had these little 1x1 tiles on a
Okay.
mesh thing that flexed. I was like,
There
there's
you
the
go.
solution to the
There you
problem. So you got to
Yeah.
pivot and keep trying to find those answers. You
There's
know what
always
I mean?
where there's a will, there's a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way. There's multiple answers to one question. You just have to kind of continually look for it.
Yeah, agreed.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. So okay, so what you're doing now
Yep.
is are you still involved in the Lawrenceville lofts in terms of an investor?
Right, yeah. So, and I was telling Mike about this earlier. Anytime a new condo building comes up, whether it's Pittsburgh or Florida, you should reach out to that developer and see if you can invest. And if not, you should buy one because. And you gave a perfect example. What was the numbers earlier in Florida? They went up. They were buying for
Oh
$450.
yeah,
now-
before COVID, I mean they were low fours, 450, and then a year later, it was still halfway constructed. I bought at 570. People were buying in the sixes. Now they're selling in the mid sevens, eights.
And they're not even done yet.
Well, they're done now,
Oh, okay,
but I closed last August.
Right.
So
So look at the equity swing on that because somebody got in early.
it was new, right.
It's mind-boggling, and a lot of
Right.
people don't know that. So I invested in Lawrenceville Lofts. The developer has to get X amount of reservations before he can even start. And I know this. So you
Yes.
got to leverage,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I had extra cash, right? This is I can't nail it home enough. You got to have extra cash. You got to save. Have no debt and have it sitting there for whenever the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah.
So I know he needed reservations. I had extra cash. He needs cash. I said, here's what we'll do. I'll take the listings. I will buy your top one. What's the most expensive one? I will give you the investment. So I gave him $40,000. He's going to pay me 10 on top of that automatically. And if there's any profit on that unit, we split it 80-20.
Right.
He gets 80, I get 20. Irrelevant, doesn't matter. So I'm going to make $10,000 on $40,000. Again, COVID came and it's been sitting there for 2 years. But we got the unit. I listed the unit along with a lot of other ones in the
Yeah.
Lawrenceville Lofts. The money I'm going to make from Lawrenceville Lofts as a realtor is mind-boggling.
I know. I
So,
could probably guess.
Yeah, so putting 40,000 in, getting 10 on top of that, and all the profit I made from the listings
Yeah,
I
that's
got,
a 25% return on the top,
It's
and
a
then
money
right off the
move.
bat, and then
power move. So
and you did that through Instagram, right? Did you
Yes.
meet him through Insta?
no Facebook.
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 Okay.
So what I
social
was
media.
doing is I would boost a lot of posts in the Lawrenceville area, but back before you could control where you wanted
Right,
to.
'cause now
before
it's like
equal
fair
rights,
housing.
fair housing, and all
Yeah,
that came.
yeah.
And he would open up his Facebook every day. He says, "Dude, every time I open my Facebook, there's you selling another house." I'm like, "Oh, really?" So he invited me down at the Lawrenceville office. I kind of interviewed, talked to him. I found out what he needed.
Yeah.
And then I gave him the money and got the unit under contract and make 20-some thousand off of that unit. I'm gonna make my 40 plus 10 just off of one unit.
Wow.
And that's profit.
Plus commission.
No, that is so there's 40,
Oh, got it,
10,
okay.
plus another 20-ish in commission.
Got it.
So
okay.
40, 10, 50, 70-some thousand
Yeah.
off of one unit.
Wow. How
Yeah.
many units are there?
24.
Okay.
How many
And
do
I
you
split
have?
him with Sarah Media.
That's right.
So
yeah.
she has half, I have half. Just doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
Still. And maybe another podcast. I may have his brother who's doing $600,000-$700,000 properties in East End. I may get those listings because of that. See, it just keeps going.
Yeah. Wow. You got a lot of momentum going.
Right,
there.
but listen, I work at social media, and you know that.
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh, you're
constantly out
great
there in
at it.
social media.
Your
You have to.
YouTube has a great viewership too. We were watching
1,500,
it.
I think, 1,500 subscribers,
But
organic.
I mean, it equates to a lot of views.
It does.
A lot of eyes on there.
So YouTube is different than all the rest because it's a long tail. People can come back years later.
Yeah.
Like I did all those Pittsburgh videos for one half of the year, a year or two ago. I haven't made one since, and I got a $600,000 buyer from it.
What?
I still get leads from it
Wow.
from YouTube because it's different than Instagram. Instagram is fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. YouTube is like long form. It's
Yeah,
like
the
someone.
only one that sticks
yeah.
around for a while.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of
Yeah.
circle around to the process.
Right.
You know, you said that you still have you and your partner have
Yep.
multiple lots still around the
Yep.
city, right?
Yep.
So if you decide, you know what, all right, I want to develop on this lot,
Right.
all right, I want to build. What does that process look like, at least to start? Because I don't know anything about permits or anything like that, that's required.
So that is what he is the expert on. I have not been involved in that part of the
Okay, so he
process.
does- okay.
He does all that. I mean, you've got to get. We use. I forget the architect. The architect goes hand in hand with it. Really, as a developer, you don't do a whole hell of a lot. You just kind of have to have the money, and you kind of just make sure everything goes smooth. The GC, the general contractor, talks to the architect, and they kind of figure things out. And the way I do it is if they need something, they tell us what they need, and we kind of go and do it. So
Okay.
well, he's kind of new, too. He's only done 3, and he's made a lot of mistakes on those 3. He picked the wrong builder, and COVID came and everything else. So we're still learning. By no means are we experts, and I really don't even know how to do it. I'm
Okay.
kind of going with his lead. But you have to have a good team in place, and we've
sure.
learned not to go cheap on the team members. The architect is, we hired a cheap architect in the beginning. It's going to cost me $12,000 because she did all the plans, and now we decided to switch to a different architect, and we can't use those plans. So it's like it's a big brouhaha. She doesn't want to release them unless I pay her more money. I'm like, I'm not paying you more money.
Yeah.
So she has to keep them. This architect can't use them because you can't. She created it. It's a whole
She
thing.
like a seal on her.
Yeah. And she
backed
could
that
sign
one.
them over, but she wanted more money. I'm like, no, I can more money.
Ew, rude.
Right. So I'm going to lose $12,000 there, but it's education.
Yeah.
I mean, that's money I
Wow.
lost.
And you're using the same builders for.
No, we got a
you
different
have
builder.
Different ones.
Yeah, and he's already laid the foundation on one. Sent me a $55,000 bill for lumber, which is, I've never paid that much money for wood in my life.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like,
Yeah,
Well, that's
it
because
hurts.
the costs are inflated right now. So I'm surprised. I mean, everything's inflated. So I'm surprised new construction is still like chucking ahead, full steam ahead with these increased prices. But I guess it's just everything
The home
parallels.
values are going up,
Yeah, so everything just parallels.
right? It's all relative.
Yeah, it's all relative.
If the number comes down on what housing values are, then the lumber costs and everything else is going to eventually come down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see interest rates affecting the market at all. I think it's still going to go gangbusters. People are just going to have to buy at another price range lower than what they were already.
Do you think it influences obviously a different type of, different spectrum of buyers? Like more on the lower end, they're probably going to drop off and slow down.
Yeah, but they just said rent's up 17%. So people ask me, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
If you want to go rent and pay out the wazoo for that, or you
And
just
get
want
nothing.
to buy
Yeah.
a house where it's not quite your dream house, but it can be a stepping stone house.
Yeah. It's a wild time right now.
It's very wild, and it's been wild, and it's going to just keep getting wild.
Yeah.
So we've been pivoting, everybody, as an investor, as a realtor, we've all been pivoting.
Yeah, we've had this conversation. We had it back in September.
Yeah.
About
a long time ago.
Yeah, ultra white, hot market. Now it's like it's still white hot, but it's like everything's more expensive.
Right.
It's a wild. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen. Everyone's like praying on a crash. I don't believe there's gonna be a crash.
There won't be any crash.
We've talked about that.
so
yeah.
Where do you see the market going?
It's going to be, the pundits are telling us it's going to be good for another 4 to 6 years. And the reason for that is whenever COVID came, everybody shifted out. Everybody moved out one ring geographically. Inner city out to the suburbs out to the farmland. Then the vaccine was announced, and that started moving people back in. And there was a vaccine, so people realized they didn't like it out there, so they're moving back in. Everybody's just jockeying all around, and you always have new home buyers coming out, coming
Yeah.
out. So it's just all over the place. And if you don't need to live in the city, some people are just living right outside the city because people aren't working. So 4 to 6 years, they say it's still going to be good.
Well, Pittsburgh has shifted a lot, over the years. Obviously, there's been there's been a bigger tech presence. There's a lot of companies that have come into the area. How has that shifted? Like in Lawrenceville. I mean, you guys both have sold a lot of property there and developed a lot of property. I mean, what markets do you think have the highest upside in terms of development? Like, is there an area that's so north side has lagged?
Central north side has lagged behind, and it's catching up. It's all the Mexican War Streets is a little sect inside
Yeah.
inside
Yeah.
of Central
It's
north
very
side.
spotty.
Very spotty. And it was always just the hut area, but now it's permeated out. And there's all kind of like $700,000, $800,000, there's even some $900,000
The
houses
houses are
in
huge.
Central north side.
And it's like it's that remodeled.
So those are those
Victorian.
old Victoria. I was going to
Yes.
say those are the old
in the Mexican War Streets.
Right,
Outside where you
right.
can tear them down, they're infilling the hell out of them. Which
Yeah.
infill, for those of you that don't know, is they come in, knock down the house, and they build a brand new one. There's a lot
Yep.
of brand new construction in Central North Side.
So I don't know the part of it, but if you're going up 28, so you have AGH, and then you
Yeah.
decide to go up 28, you get on 279 or some 28. They put like a comfort in there.
Yeah, that's it.
What are those? Is that what the area you're talking about? All those
That's
homes
Spring
behind it?
Garden off
That's
to the
Spring
right.
Okay.
To the left is Central North Side, which takes you all the way over to the stadiums.
Yeah.
We can
Right,
see the stadiums
right.
from the Buena Vista rooftop deck. You can
Oh, yeah,
hear
I remember
them,
that.
Yeah, you can hear them
Yeah.
talking on a Steeler Sunday.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that whole area is going gangbusters, and it's infiltrating out.
I always wondered that. I'd
Yeah.
always drive over there, because I spent a lot of time at AGH over the years, and I just never understood why that location, right off 79
It's
right
so
there. you
easy
can
to
hop on-
access, yeah.
28, you're right there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, they rip out down whatever, or they reconstruct, put a hotel
Yeah.
right there, and it's like, okay, this is going to start to shift.
Where are they putting that lagoon?
That's over off 65 up that way, going into Bellevue. Well, like you have Bright Nights across the
okay.
road.
I didn't know where they were placing it. I kept
Am I
thinking they were
right?
putting
Yeah, it's
it
right over
by like a
Yeah.
river, like a water. But it's a water lagoon, so I thought they were putting it near the river.
Well, and
It
my
is.
my theory is that's why I think Bellevue has done so well. I mean, you have
Okay.
Bright Nights and McKees Rocks right there.
Yeah.
but then you have Bellevue right after that.
Yeah.
They put the brewery in right there. I actually just found out that the guy that owns the brewery owns, I don't want to quote it, but he owns a ton of real estate around. He's developing that entire area. I was wondering, like, why is all this? I mean, there's always construction around there.
Yeah.
My property's right there.
Right.
And that, whoever the guy is, I don't know who it is, but he's just, that area is starting to explode right there too.
Yeah.
So it makes sense because they're developing, if that is going in, I don't know what the valuation on that project is.
I don't know. They hit pause for COVID, and I think it's back on.
Yeah.
But it's going to bring a ton of jobs. It's going to bring a ton of employees. They're going to need housing
Tourism.
all around that area. Airbnbs are going to be amazing in the central north
We
side.
don't have any restrictions yet
I don't know.
for short-term rentals.
You think we're going to? For
No,
freestanding homes?
I hope not.
I don't
think
think. I think
Pittsburgh.
that's more of a beach. I think it's more of a beach thing.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot of like beach
With
hotels.
HOAs,
Yeah.
freestanding homes with HOAs.
They can do what they want. With HOAs, yeah,
Right.
the association.
In Florida, that's a problem. But in
Right.
Pittsburgh, I don't think it's.
Who
They're
was
so
I,
far
Who was I
behind.
talking to yesterday about? They banned Airbnbs in San Francisco where they started. I don't know why I'm blanking out, but I'm trying to think.
Good
really?
possibility.
There was someone I was talking to. It's just a thought that just came in my mind. I can't place who I was speaking to about
Yeah, I
that.
don't know any city. Usually, it's more of a beach thing.
Yeah, or
association,
like
you know,
an association
on the
thing.
coast.
But if it becomes hot, I don't know if Pittsburgh will have that much tourism where it would start affecting the locals.
Yeah.
But that's when those Airbnb restrictions will come into Pittsburgh, I would assume.
I don't see Pittsburgh ever doing that. We're so far behind. It'll be 10 years
Yeah.
before they figure out,
Yeah.
oh, we should probably restrict that. Why would you restrict it in Pittsburgh? It's
Oh, I remember
I
I
don't
was
think
talking
anyone
to.
should tell.
Okay.
I don't think the government should tell us how to use our homes either. You know? I mean,
Agreed.
that's-
right.
That's a separate podcast.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, do you have any current goals? I know you mentioned the development, but in terms of like volume you want to hit or Florida, projects you have going on, what's your goal?
Yeah.
Like,
In Florida, for example.
yeah.
So for Florida, what
Licensed
I've
there how long?
All right, so a couple of years ago, I shifted in Pittsburgh to just look at luxury and new construction because if you're doing new construction, you have a steady stream of listings.
Okay.
Those who hold the listings hold the gold without a doubt. I got tired of dealing with buyers. I mean, I've done buyers for 15 years, run them around and show them houses, and it's even
I feel like I'm
crazier
graduating.
now.
Yeah.
It's a
I
steady
see it with my
progression.
regulars.
Yeah.
I'm loyal to my regulars, but
Yeah, I mean, I still do with some buyers, but I'm not actively looking for them. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of new construction listings in Pittsburgh, and I'm getting more. So that's the business I want to build because it's just so much more fun than anything else. So down in Florida, what I want to do is just a luxury and ultra luxury only, $1 million and up. I just want to sell a couple houses a year because I love money, and in Florida, there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Perfect
Yes.
example. 29-year-old kid at my brokerage down there, and I belong to a boutique brokerage, not Remax down there. He sold $80 million worth of real estate
I
last year.
believe it.
29. That's $2 million in income,
Right.
roughly.
And the thing is down there.
He doesn't even know how many houses he sold, but it wasn't a lot.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah, probably 3.
Down there, you don't have to sell a ton of
No.
homes to do that. You're never gonna do that.
No.
volume.
And I
Does
don't-
anyone do that up here?
A team.
90
It's a team.
There's
Yeah,
a
it's a
team. I
team.
think
You're
the
not gonna
Smeagol
individual.
team
They're-
may have hit 90 million, but they're an office.
Yeah, they're like a whole
Yeah, that's-
operation. It's
Yeah,
not
and
one
it's-
person.
Yeah, so the one person, Georgie Smeagol, she does not get the income of $90 million.
Well, you're in Miami, right?
I'm in Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, good luck finding a house down
Right.
for
Oh,
under,
yeah,
you
you
know,
can-
yeah,
6,
yeah.
7.
What was your highest year? You had a stellar year.
25 million, and I'm always by myself. It's probably the highest I did, but I
Yeah.
mean, work my ass off.
Yeah.
And
it's
I don't
hard.
want- I
in
should-
Pittsburgh, the average sale price is $180,000.
Yeah, I think it's up to
Yeah.
250 now.
250 now,
it's-
but, like,
it's
yeah.
still it's too much work. That's why I want to go to Florida, and they still pay like 2.5. I don't know if you saw the $35 million listing I put up on my Instagram
Oh, I watch them all.
stories.
Yeah.
2.5% commission.
It's almost like I'm
It's
watching
like $700,000 commission.
Yeah, I'm like, am I hallucinating? I'm like, what
No.
is he showing right? It's like watching a movie.
I go to those brokers'
Yeah.
opens, and I fill my camera roll up.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's 3% commission on a $25 million house. Here we can barely get 2.5% on a $150,000.
That's what I'm saying. Well,
It's
on the
crazy.
Gulf Coast, they lower their BACs.
Do they?
Yeah, they're like 2%. When I was running around looking for an Airbnb for my
Yeah.
clients down there, she was in the $600,000 range,
Right.
not $700 or $600,000 commission range.
Right.
But they were offering like I'd see 2%.
I'm sure there's some that probably do that, but I mean, I look on
Yeah.
the MLS, and I even saw one of the penthouses, $30 million. They offered 3%.
That's amazing.
And here's even here, this is going to blow you away even more. The new construction condos down there is rampant, right? It's a
Yeah.
buyer's market for new
Everyone's
construction condos.
moving there. Yeah.
So,
They can't keep up with the demand.
Right.
so,
yeah.
so here's my point. The commission that the developer to the buyer's agent offers is, I give you multiple choice, 5%, 6%, or 7%.
I'm gonna go 7 because it's the highest.
I'm gonna
Probably
say 7.
6.
Boom.
Yeah.
7?
Yeah, so $1 million condos down there, they give you buyer's agent commission, 7%.
70 grand.
Because it's so cutthroat.
We gotta go. I gotta go to the airport
That's why
right
we're
now.
licensed there. Yeah. You book a flight.
I gotta leave.
Right, so if you just get a buyer and you take it into one of those condo buildings, 7%.
What?
Yeah, because it's so cutthroat. There's so many buildings, they want you to bring them to that building.
Yeah.
And every time I go to Florida, I always schedule an appointment with those guys to show me their product. I said, I put it
Right.
on social media. You should be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
People think I go down there and go on vacation. Man, I'm working my ass off down there.
No, I know you're working,
Yeah.
but people, I mean, with social media too, you make it look easy,
Yeah.
and that's why it's so trendy right now to be an agent.
I didn't realize that behind the scenes.
What?
You know, what you guys do with the commissions and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Like how they.
It's broken down.
So the listing agent then just puts it out there on MLS, and they're putting out a commission.
Of a resale, yeah, they negotiate it with their seller. And then some, I just had a conversation with somebody on the Walking Continuing Ed tour yesterday, and she said that sometimes she keeps more as a listing agent and offers the buyer's agent less.
That happened to me. I got mad about that.
So, I mean, it's not illegal or unethical.
It's not, but this guy I just did a deal with. It was like $150,000 deal, but he took 3.5 and gave me 2.5.
Yeah, there's some jerks. That sucks.
He's
I've
like-
had a couple luxury listings that I did, and I spent a lot of money and a lot of time, so I charged them more, and I took
Yeah.
a little more because I just felt I put in the
Yeah,
work.
if you
Buyer's
front
agent
the
opens the
staging,
door and says,
yeah.
hey, I'll write the contract. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you shouldn't get the same as me.
Right, yeah. If you do the staging and the marketing and
Right.
absolutely justifiable.
Right.
But this was like cell phone pictures on the MLS,
That's a joke.
and he didn't even know like where leases were, and it was a whole
The most
nightmare.
unprofessional
Yeah.
professional organization is being a real estate agent, in my opinion. In
Yeah.
Florida and Pittsburgh, where
Isn't
we
that
practice.
funny?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have my license in Cali, and I'm trying.
Yeah.
I haven't stepped out over there yet and done anything with it, but I'm interested to see how that works in terms of like the culture.
The problem is, what I've learned in Florida is you get more traction if you're there.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
I thought I was gonna be able to do social media and from a distance and pick up these listings. The more I'm down there,
Yeah, show
the
face.
more I get.
How often do you get on there?
Every 1 week, every 2 weeks in the winter only. In the summer, I'm probably gonna hit the pause button June, July, and August and stay up here.
Okay. So in terms of development, because it's so competitive down there, you think this is a better market to develop in?
Oh, totally. You can
Yeah.
develop down there. There's $10 million houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dirt is $10 million.
Yeah, I mean, they buy houses you
listen.
would live in, and they knock them down.
Yeah.
There's a shack. It was in Treasure Island.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was terrible. The lot was probably as big as this table, and they wanted like $800,000 for it. And
Yeah.
they were listing it that you had to knock it down.
Yep.
Like it was just for this tiny piece
Isn't that
of land.
crazy?
I'm like, geez, oh man. Like
Yeah.
the house it had to be like 600 square foot house,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they wanted that, and you had to knock it down and build something else right there. Now, granted, it was a great location, but still.
Yeah.
And there's things you don't know. Like, for instance, their brokers opened in Sarasota once, and the community had rules. You weren't allowed to knock the house down.
Oh.
You weren't allowed to
Even
change.
if they
You weren't
listen?
allowed.
Is
To,
it-
you weren't allowed to change a certain percentage of the structure itself. Just this one community is Bird Key in Sarasota,
Wow.
and the listing agent told us, and I was like, man, I would have never known that.
Yeah.
How would you have ever known that?
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. That's why
There's so much fine
I would
print.
say stay local because you
You don't
know the rules. You can physically go down there and pound someone's face in if they're not doing work. If
Yeah.
you're long distance, you
Yeah.
lose that flexibility. But if I were gonna do long distance, I would do a condo.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about roofs and stuff like that, and you're
Okay,
covered.
yeah, that's the thing.
So I would do smaller, easier to
For
do.
sure.
Cosmetics mostly.
Yeah.
I'm like
I agree.
inspired now about developing. And just a couple things you've mentioned, like
Yep.
the social media and stuff.
You just gotta keep grinding. It'll come to you. I mean,
Yeah.
if you try too hard to find it, I think it avoids you. So I just kick back and let it come to me and
Like plant
opportunities.
seeds, yeah, which
ex-
social media is
exactly.
nice for.
Right. And you gotta have good relationships with people. Like you and I have a great relationship.
Yeah.
And I think it's benefited both of us.
Agreed.
Some agents just they don't want to talk to me. They don't want to talk to you. Or they treat us like shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I've never understood that.
Mm-hmm.
The culture as agents is very weird.
Different podcast altogether.
What's that?
Different podcast altogether.
Yeah, that could be another 2 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, so take this time to plug everything, all your social media.
Yeah, so if you just Google Brian Sells Pittsburgh, I am on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. If you Google Brian Sells Miami, I'm on YouTube with everything. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook Business, Facebook Personal. Just Google my name. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on, Brian.
Appreciate it.
And
Thanks,
thanks for
Brian.
watching Cashed In.